Good morning, grade 5s. Great to have you with us for another maths lesson. Something different today. We're moving on from time. Completely different subject today. Standard reminders at the start of the lesson. If you want to email me, it's Mr. T. You can email me at grade5@worksheetcloud.com. And after the lesson, click on the link at the top and do the worksheet just to make sure that you've got what it is that we're doing this lesson and that you're good to go on to the next topic. And if not, you can always look at the memo and see where you went wrong and learn from your mistakes. That's really important to me. Mistakes are not bad. Not learning from your mistakes is bad. As per usual, the next slide is going to be 10 word problems, mental arithmetic, not word problems, mental arithmetic. 10 questions just to get your brain into gear, to practice those things that should be on the tip of your tongue. Today is all plus. I made the level slightly harder. You have 40 seconds. Just the answer. Go. Subtraction, not plus. Halfway. And that's time. Right, it was subtraction, not plus. I hope that you were paying attention to what was written and not thrown by the fact that I said addition. It's just working backwards in my head and made a mistake. Right, let's go through them. You can mark them for yourself. 18 minus 6 is 12. 20 minus 11 is 9. 14 minus 12 is 2. 13 minus 1 is 12. 5 minus 2 is 3. 15 minus 4 is 11. 12 minus 6 is 6. 17 minus 11 is 6. 20 minus 11, oh, you got the same one twice. What chance? Is 9. And finally, 7 minus 2 is 5. If you missed any of those, just rewind, check it again, see how well you did. My main, excuse me, my main concern is that you're improving, not really what your mark is. So as long as you're improving, getting better, that's the most important thing. And as has also become our maths thing, I don't really care that this stumped Piers Morgan, but this is just one of those picture problems that gets our brain into gear. So let's have a look at it, see if you can figure it out. I'm going to switch across to the whiteboard and then we can work it out together, but I'll give you a few seconds head start. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. In the last row, just be aware that there's not the same number of bones, and you've also got plus and times, so you've got to make sure you do BODMAS in the correct order, which you should be able to do because we have practiced BODMAS. Excuse me. Right, if you'd like a bit more time, excuse me. If you'd like a bit more time, then just pause the video. I'm going to work it out line per line. If you got stuck on a line and then I get a line, I finish a line, you're like, okay, now I want to try, then again, just pause the video and you can carry on from there. Okay, we've got our first line. We've got 3 things. In this case, they're illustrated by our bulldogs that are all equal to the same. So all we know is that it's 3 things that are the same that add up to 15. So I think of 3 things that are the same that add up to 15. Another way of doing that is to share 15 by 3 or divide. And I realize that each of my bulldogs is worth 5. What that means now is wherever there's a bulldog, I know that that is worth 5. So I can put that in the meantime. Next up, I have these other little puppies, which I'm not sure quite what breed it is, a cartoon breed. All right, so if I look at the second row, I know that the total is 13. So 5 plus something gives me 13. But what I do know is that those two somethings must be the same because it's the same picture in both. So they must be worth the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, 13 minus 5, that's 13 minus 5, to find out what's left to share between these two. So 13 minus 5 gives me 8. So I now need to share that 8 between the two dogs, and I find that each of those dogs is worth 4. And now what I can do is put each of those, a 4 where each of those dogs is, because I now know that each of those dogs is worth 4. Moving on to the next line, and again, if you want to pause it now and try from here on to the finish, do that. I've got 10 in total, 4 is already got, so that leaves me with 6 to share between these two, which are the same. And so what I can see then is that each of these is worth 3. Now you will notice that there are 1, 2, 3 bones there, 1, 2, 3 bones, and 3 bones is worth 3. So it stands to reason that 2 bones would be worth 2. And so we can say that this one is worth 2. So I've got 4 plus 2 times 5. Now this is where some of you may have made a mistake if you forgot about bed mass. Let me write it down here. Bed mass. So that's our order of operations. And you will notice that multiplication comes before addition. So we need to do this part before we do the other part. So we don't go 4 plus 2. What we do is we go 2 times 5 is 10. And then we go 4 plus 10 is 14. And so our answer to this is 14. Hope they're starting to make a little bit more sense and becoming a little bit easier. There's a certain way of thinking that goes with these. Let's go into what our lesson is actually about today. Perimeter. I'm sure that you've done this. In fact, if you haven't done this, you must have skipped grade 4 because you definitely do it in grade 4. So perimeter, and our goals for the lesson are first of all to understand what perimeter is, then to understand that perimeter is a measurement of length. And as a measurement of length, we need to give that length unit. So for example, we talk about centimeters, millimeters, meters, kilometers. Those are what I'm talking about when I say a unit of length. So then be able to find the perimeter when a shape has all of its measurements given to you, and also to be able to find the perimeter of something when we're only given some of the measurements and we deduce the other. Deduce is like a word for being a detective. So deduce means to figure out. So we're given some of the measurements and we have to figure out the other ones. We'll come to that further on in the lesson. So the perimeter of a shape is the length of all its sides added together. And as a measurement of length, it must have the right unit. So that's meters, millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers. There are other units of measurement. So we have decimeters, decameters, hectometers. That's the other ones that are all part of the metric system, which is what we use. And then you've got those American units like miles and yards and feet, which we don't need to worry about because we don't use them. But the main ones that you will come into contact with are millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers. This is really small. This is quite big. Okay, so I said there that a perimeter of a shape is the length of its sides added together. And I did just want to jump across the whiteboard quickly and have a look at this picture here. All right, so what I've got here is I've got these shapes. Now what I want to do is to show you how this converts into a length. So first of all, I'm going to take the pink line, which is there, and I'm going to make it go here instead. So I've just got rid of it over there. I've just moved it. Next up, I'm going to take this blue line and I'm going to put it over here and erase that. Now I'm going to take the purple line and put it there. And this length that I have here is now the perimeter. Oops, I've got to go back, get rid of my ruler. Perimeter of that original rectangle. So that rectangle that we had that was like this this would be the length of its perimeter. Right, so it's taking all the sides, laying them out end to end, and that is what we mean by perimeter. And so you can see it's a measurement of length, and just as a measurement of length, we need to say what it is. I'm quite strict about that as a teacher. In fact, if you leave out the unit of measurement, I tell you you're wrong, and I mark it wrong. So at school, with measuring perimeter, your teacher may ask you to measure the perimeter of a shape. I can't do that. I can't see you. I'm unable to see your shape or your tools to see that you're doing it right. So we're going to work with perimeter when I've given you a shape and I've told you how long the lengths are. But for measuring straight lines, like the shape that we looked at now, the rectangle, we use a ruler. So we line it up, we measure how long it is, we add those 4 different ones together, or more or less, depending on the shape, and we get our perimeter. If you have got a curved line, I mean something like a circle, or perhaps you've got a semicircle, which is also called a hemisphere. How do we measure that curved line? Because we don't have a curved ruler. I have a ruler over here, small one, a 15 centimeter one, which has inches on the other side, and on this one I've got another oopsie. I've got a 30 centimeter ruler, also a metal one. I use it for my woodworking, and this has centimeters, millimeters, and inches on it as well. I don't use the inches, I use the other two. But how would I measure a curved line? Well, what I would do is I'd take a piece of string and I'd carefully put it along the curved line, and then I'd have how much of that string I'd use, and I'd pull it straight, and then I'd put it onto my ruler, and then I'd be able to see the length of that curved side. So that's how I measure a curved side. It's quite a fun activity. If only we were in the same place, we could do it together. But we're not. And then sometimes we are given the length of all the sides, and sometimes we are only given some of them, and we have to use our brains to figure out the missing side, and then we can work out the perimeter. Okay, so jump across to our whiteboard. I have a few that I've prepared already. Let's just have, so here we go. So I've put a few shapes together. Let me make it a bit smaller. There we go. All right, I've got a few shapes drawn, and I've put in all the sides, and we're going to work out the area. So let's have a look at the first shape, number 1. I've got the sides drawn in purple, or the length of the sides. You can see it says 4 meters. That is definitely not 4 meters, but it's been labeled as 4 meters. So it represents 4 meters. It's a diagram. You obviously couldn't draw a 4 meter side in your workbook because it wouldn't fit. In fact, if I had to draw 4 meters, it would go from this wall all the way to that wall. And that definitely wouldn't fit into my book. Okay. So when I need to work out the perimeter, I need to add the sides together. So perimeter is equal to, I'm being a little lazy, and I think your teachers will probably let you do it as well. P equals 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, which equals 16. Now, if you worked out and you said P is equal to 16, you would be wrong. Just letting that sink in, because the answer is 16 meters. Not 16 pineapples, not 16 dogs, not 16 cups of coffee, which is almost as many as I drink in a day. I'm just kidding. It's much closer to 30. No, it's probably like 5. You must put in the unit of length that's given. Otherwise, if you're in my class, I'll mark you wrong, and I suspect that many of your teachers will at least take marks off if you don't put in what unit is. So the next one, the triangle, you can see that I have 3 sides. I've done it in green. So P for perimeter equals 3 plus 3 plus 2. These ones are not all the same. P is equal to 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8. Mental arithmetic, people. And if you put 8, you would be wrong. And if you put 8 centimeters, you would be correct. And the reason I do it with my class is literally I will give them 0 if they don't put in the unit. And the reason I do that is because I want them to learn the lesson really quickly, and then afterwards they never forget. So let's have a look at number 3. This time we have a whole bunch of sides. If any of you are advanced mathematicians, you might realize that there isn't actually a possibility that this side would be the same length as that, but I've kept things simple for the sake of explaining what perimeter is. So please, yeah, I do know that that isn't actually the same length, but let's work with what we've labeled. I've just done it to keep it simple. So again, P equals, wrong color, P equals. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. So I'm going to have to add 7 different things together. And what I like to do is I don't just randomly choose which one I try and guess. I start with one and then I go around the outside until I get back. So I'm going to start with the one on top. That's that one. So 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus. Oh, I'm going to have to go a little bit smaller. Let me zoom in. I'm going to quickly start again. 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1. And then I always think it's a good idea just to check that we got the right number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sides. And I counted 7 at the start, so I know that that's right. Let me do that mental arithmetic quickly. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So perimeter equals 9 kilometers. Again, I'm fully aware that that's not an actual kilometer. This is a drawing and it represents a certain amount of space. So just, yeah, don't get confused by that. Then we've got our rectangle, number 4. Let me shift it up over here so you can have a look. Again, a rectangle has 4 sides. If you do happen to know a secret about doing things with a shortcut, just hang 5. We'll get there with question 6. Okay, so I've got 6 over here and I've got a 6 over here. So P equals a 4 and a 4. 6 plus 4 plus 6 plus 4. So that's the 4 different sides. 10 and 10 makes 20. So P is equal to 20. If you put the answer as P is equal to 20, you get no marks from your teacher, Mr. Travis. And if you put 20 millimeters, you get all the marks. Next one, also in millimeters. I will give you guys a moment to start off with this one. So P equals, and see if you can figure it out. I'll give you about another 20 seconds. Okay, if you like more time, just pause. I know that if you were writing it all out, it might have taken long. You can see I'm doing it outside of my shape because it's not going to fit in. Out of interest, can anyone tell me what shape this is with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sides? We didn't do it when we were doing shapes, or did we? I can't remember. That was a lesson a very long time ago. 10 sides is a decagon. Meaning it's a 10-sided shape, and this one, because not all of the sides are the same, this is an irregular decagon. Right, adding them together, I'm going to start at this end here, because it's at the end, I can see it's the end, so I've got, and then I'm going to go clockwise. 1 plus 15 plus 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 1 plus 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 15. Oh, I don't know how good your mental arithmetic is. It might have taken a while to add that up. 16, 17, 18, 28, 29, 30, 35, 36, 43, 48, 55, 65, 70. So P is equal to 70, and we must make sure to put in a unit, 70 millimeters. Okay, this is where actually you are going to go next, looking at question 6. And that is that we actually have formulas for working out the perimeter of certain shapes. And what we can say is, well, not only that, I'm going to look at this shape and I'm going to say, well, it's a rectangle. I've told you it's a rectangle. I wrote it down. So I've told you it's a rectangle. And we know that opposite sides in a rectangle are the same. So if this one is 9, then this one, let's do it on the outside, this one is also 9 meters. And if this one is 3, then this one is also 3. So you can see how we're using deductive reasoning. So we're being little detectives to figure out what the different sides are, the ones that we're not given. Okay, so if we write down P equals, you can write it down as a plus thing now that you've got it. So you can say 9 plus 3 plus 9 plus 3. I could also say it's, at the moment it's going to look a little like we're doing it a long way around when we do this. But I could say it's 2 times L, which is the long side, plus 2 times width, or W, which is the short side. So P is 2 times 9 plus 2 times 3. 2 times 9 is 18, plus 6, 2 times 3. And so P is equal to 24 meters. Right, so we've got a formula that we can use. I'm really just planting the seed with the formula. What you're doing is you're using clever reasoning to work out the missing sides. What do you know about a square for number 7? Well, seeing as you've done this with me, you should know that a square has all of the sides the same length. So if we have one of the sides being 5 kilometers, then each of the sides is also 5 kilometers. So there you go, being a detective, you use the fact that you know it's a square and squares all have the same length sides to work that out. Now you will notice that each of the sides is the same. So P equals 4 times S. And that is an S, not a 5. I know my 5s often look a little bit like an S. Children over the years have always complained about that. Never mind, here we are. So 4 times S, and in this case, my S is actually a 5. I hope you can tell the difference. And 4 times 5 is 20, and that's kilometers. So the perimeter is 20 kilometers. Okay, we've got just enough time for the last two. This is where you need to be detectives in a clever way. So I'm going to look at this shape, and I'm going to figure out what the 2 question marks are. I'm not going to work out I will work out the perimeter for this as well. Okay, so I need to figure out this one. I have no idea what it is, but I can see that from there to there is 4, which is given to me. And when I went from here to here, it was 2, which is given to me. So I've still got to go that far, and together that will give me 4. So I've got 4 to get from here to here. I've used 2 to get up to the middle. How many more do I need? 4 minus 2 is 2. So I've got another 2 centimeters. So this side is 2 centimeters. So I worked that out using clever reasoning. Let's use a different color for the other way. Let's use the yellow. Okay, so this time I'm trying to find the other question mark, this one here. Well, I know that to get from here to here is 6 centimeters. So that on the other side, I'm going to just draw it down here, is from here to here. That is 6 centimeters. That is 4 centimeters, which is already given to me. So I still need to go how far? Well, to get from 4 to 6 is 2. So I can see that the length I still need to go is 2 centimeters. Now that I have all of the sides, I can do my workings out. So P equals and I've got to add all the sides. I'll start at the top. 6 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4. Add those together. 6 plus 2 is 8 plus 2 is 10 plus 2 is 12. Gives me 20 centimeters. Okay, now we've got one more to do. Number 9. So this time we've got 3 missing sides. Well, let's see what we can figure out. Okay, first off, this one has got to be quite... Let me just move it so my picture's not in the way. This one has got to be fairly easy to see. The length opposite it is 8 millimeters. So this one, which is the same length, also needs to be 8 millimeters. That's a very odd 8. 8 millimeters. The next one I need to do, or the next one I'll choose to do, let's go with purple, is this one. This length here is 4 millimeters, so this one here will also be 4 millimeters. And finally, the last one I need to do is this one. The distance from there to there, I can find over there because that lines up on the edge, so that's 12. To get from there to there was 4. To get from there to there was 4. Which means I have, let's see, well, I've got 4, 8. I need another 4 to get to 12. So this one here is 4 millimeters. And I have all my sides. I can work out my perimeter. So P equals, and I start at the top, 12 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. Wait, that was 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8. Now, in working that out, I'm going to save myself a little bit of hassle. I'm going to say 5 4s is 20. 20 plus the 2 8s. Okay, well, let me go there. That's together is 20. So 20, 40, and I've got 8 left. So P is equal to 48 millimeters. There we go. That's perimeter. Yeah, so those are the kinds we're going to do in our homework today, or our worksheet. So that's it for today. Click on the worksheet, do the worksheet, check that you've got perimeter, check that you understand it. And if you have any questions, you can email me, grade5@worksheetcloud.com. Lovely to have you with me again, grade 5s. I'll see you again soon. Have a good afternoon.